One of the biggest challenges that I see right now in the market for buyers and sellers is trepidation. And it's like one thing compounded after another. If it wasn't the interest rates a couple of years back going up and then coming down, oftentimes people like to wait to see if they can find the bottom of that, and then they buy when it's on the way back up, or they don't, or they wait out that. I've seen many clients over the years wait out that cycle and do it again. But if it's not interest rates we're talking about, it's now tariffs that we're talking about. And so there's a lot of people putting the pause on their real estate move. And that's the biggest thing I'm finding from a lot of people. And I'm not talking about affordability. I'm not talking about if the interest rates are such or the house prices are such you can't afford it. I'm talking about those that are actively looking, but they continue to pause. And I've had many clients over the years where it's taken 3 and 4 years and a couple of markets shifts for them to actually make a change. In fact, I can think of one a year ago where I had a client and I sold their house back in 2022, started showing them houses in 2022 and into 2023. And it's so crazy the way this story worked out is that they ended up a year and a half later buying a house across the street on the same street from the very first house we looked at. And it was a brand new subdivision. It was exactly the same model, but they literally paid $100,000 more for that house because they waited a year and a half. We looked at everything. We went all over the countryside. We looked at detached. We looked at townhouses. We looked at condos. We looked at absolutely everything. And at the end of the day, they ended up settling. And the reason it cost them 100,000 more. It was actually 50,000 more in the actual price. The house went up from what we could have bought it for a year and a half prior. And then they also paid rent because they were renting in the meantime while they were trying to find a house. And so they were paying rent. So there was another $50,000 gone over that year and a half. So they literally, and they told me this after, that I already knew it. I was kind of already factoring that all in my head. And then they came back to me after we closed the deal and said, we realized that we actually paid 100 grand more for this house. And the irony is it's across the street from the house that we first looked at a year and a half ago. And I'll say that's a great example. That was only a year and a half, but I have people that do that over 3 years and 4 years. And so sometimes that process can take a little bit of time. And at the end of the day, when the move, it's right for you. People ask me all the time, is the market great? Yeah, it's always great. But more importantly, it's got to be good for you. We're in the GTA. I think the only better places to be in terms of real estate than the GTA would be Vancouver or maybe Montreal, right? In terms of what our actual growth is. Well, Quebec could be a little bit slower than us, but still, you can't complain about the way house prices go. And yes, we're having a year where prices still at this point are a little bit flat or even below what they were last year. But when the GTA speed picks up, we saw years and years of double-digit appreciation year over year. And that's really what the GTA real estate, that's where it really shines. So in my opinion, it doesn't really matter when you buy. If you look at it, if you're buying for a year or two, that might make a difference. But if you're buying over the long term, it doesn't really make any difference. So you just got to choose when that right time is for you around kids, school, work, retirement, whatever the thing is you're dealing with. You just got to figure it out what's right for you. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are.